I couldn't answer that right now because I don't know all the details myself. So I will leave that, ask you to hold that question for when the GS has his Monday meetings. I didn't say it was not being discussed. I'm just saying that I am not in a position to comment on it today here. So that is what I'm saying, me.
Former presidential advisor on governance Gail Teixeira, when she was asked to comment on the vehicle scam that has embroiled the former minister and her senior staff. And given her years as a minister and a politician, what advice would she have for the government on how to proceed?
The issue has always been, the bottom line has been, one, when the allegations made, to investigate, to assess is there any merit or truth in what is alleged, and then based on one's findings to then act accordingly. And as you know, in many cases, even in the courts, are thrown out on technicalities and so on. So one has to make sure that the investigation and is in accordance with law, rules, protocols that are in place. And so I would expect that the government will do that, although some of their behavior shows that they're not willing to do that.
Reports are that the vehicles were returned and that former Minister Jennifer Westford had given a statement to the police and that the files were sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. What would the PPP Civic's position be should someone be found liable for prosecution?
Generally, the PPP has always said, let the law take its course. I don't know who you're talking about who's being charged for criminally or potentially being charged criminally. And I can't deal with those academics and hypotheses. You are talking about a particular case which appears to be a particular person, which I don't know who that person is.
A member of your party.
Yes. And I've said that we will not comment on that. We agree and we've always stood by the implementation and upholding the law. What would you like us to do? I mean, since it seems to be a surprise that the PPP wants to let the law take its course, what would you like us to do? Go to the Commissioner of Police and say, don't you dare do that? What do you want us to do? We have always stood by the law and what the law requires. You are well aware of the number of cases that the government has brought to court for criminal offences, including bribery, solicitation, all sorts of things, and including money laundering, and how many cases were thrown out by the courts.
The Ministry of the Presidency had said that there are about 40 state-owned vehicles that were missing. Last week, the news broke that 7 of the vehicles were in the process of being transferred to several persons, including the minister and her spouse, Gary Beaton. By today, the ministry said that all 8 vehicles have been returned. The 2 senior female officers at the ministry who were said to have attempted to facilitate the sale and transfer of ownership of the vehicles remain off the job. Reporting for Prime News, Julia Johnson.